Hi everybody, this is Dan Stolbarger. Welcome to this week's KFIR Middle East Update. It's the week of October 9th. This report is being filed on October 7th. Why? Because tomorrow, October 8th, my wife and I will have been married 44 years and we're going to celebrate. So let's see what there is just in the few days that's transpired from this week. Lots going on in Israel. So let's tune in. This is our News Bites. By the way, get the PDF PowerPoint. It's got a lot more material than this YouTube is able to give, but it accompanies the presentation. So what's going on with the coronavirus in Israel? First, some good news. The share of coronavirus tests coming back positive fell to its lowest level in weeks as of yesterday. Now, there's a lot of tension going on in Israel, and you're probably seeing reports about this. It's really what's contributing to the pandemic in Israel is that you have the general public, you have the Arabs, and you have the Orthodox. And for the most part, the Arabs and the Orthodox are ignoring some of the restrictions. And so we're finding that the highest rates of the virus is with Arabs and Orthodox. So for instance, here's some information. In general, the population, it's 10%. Within the Arab community, it's 13%. However, the ultra-Orthodox community still has a proportionately high rate of 28%. Now, this plus the dissatisfaction, and if we think we have issues here in America in terms of violence and you name it, the so-called peaceful protests that. Nothing peaceful about these protests, right? But our nation is in turmoil, so is Israel. In fact, the question is Israel heading to civil war? Netanyahu has to deal with this growing incitement. There's a deepening of the economic crisis. There's a battle over demonstrations, and ultra-Orthodox coronavirus infections are taking Israel several steps closer to just complete civil unrest, I would say. Now, about this Orthodox COVID, it's tension. It's been brewing for a long time, okay? Your standard Israeli is going to have issues with the Orthodox. Bibi needs the Orthodox to keep the majority for his party, for the Likud party. So it seems that there's a double standard. But the tensions now are just sort of bubbling over between secular and Orthodox Israelis. And again, it's because of this disproportionate amount of new coronavirus cases, which keeps the economy at bay and has forced Israel into a shutdown. The Orthodox, they scarcely make up about 12% of the total population in Israel, but they account for 40% of new cases that are being detected. This lockdown, we've been asked to go into this lockdown with its insane economic cost that's causing people to go insane, primarily because of the increase in the coronavirus, which is mostly occurring in the Orthodox community. And then the lament that there's two sets of laws, one for us and one for everybody, and then of course a separate one for the Orthodox. So this is something that, as you see the photos here, continues to bubble out of control. Now, Israeli skies. We're always being asked, so when are you going back? When are the skies going to be open? I just read this report today. It says if the state of Israel wants the economy to recover during this period, it must internalize that aviation is the catalyst for economic recovery. If there's no aviation policy, there will be no economic recovery. And so Israel's working on a 7 to 8 stage exit strategy. But basically, if we take a step back, the airlines are threatening not even to fly into Israel unless this gets normalized quickly. As it stands right now, this 7 to 8 week or stage exit would open Ben Gurion up sometime around December. And for the major airlines, this isn't soon enough. So we watch the numbers, we listen, and we'll have to simply still take a wait and see approach. But the economy in Israel, if it's going to recover, is going to require Israeli skies to open and tourism to resume. We do have friends in Israel that have groups and tours, and we have a couple coming up in February, March, and at this point in time, they're saying it looks okay, but it's still going to be a wait and see. For more information on our tours, please go to our website, holygroundexplorations.com. All right, breaking news flash, right? The Palestinians are ready to talk peace. Of course, this will be after the U.S. presidential election, says a top Abbas advisor. He says that the Palestinians are ready for an international peace conference in early 2021, noting that a Biden administration would, quote, be more committed to international law. But regardless, Abbas is saying we need a conference, we need to begin, and it doesn't matter who wins the elections, it has to be in early 2021. So do you think the Palestinians are feeling the pressure of the Abrahamic Accords, the normalization? Absolutely. So again, like in so many of these things, it's the Middle East, so we have to wait and see what transpires. We report each week on growing anti-Semitism, and really the hotbed in the U.S. is going to be on our college campuses. I ran across this article about Hamas on campus, and you need to understand that they're being funded, these pro-Palestinian BDS, Students for Justice in Palestine, all are being funded financially by Hamas. They are hand in glove together with that. And so not only are Jews on campus being threatened, but really just the hatred and the incitement and the polarization causing our college kids to not only just have second thoughts about Israel, but to become anti-Israel. So it's something that we need to be concerned about. There's more in the article for you to read. We have friends at the Palestinian Media Watch, and because of their promotion and their raising the flag, especially in terms of Facebook, that we have found that the results of this is that Facebook temporarily closed down the Fatah or the Palestinian website a couple months ago, and then as this week, an ongoing campaign against the Palestinian content of Facebook is stopping all boosted posts of the official Fatah Facebook page because it's simply incitement of terror. And because of the Palestinian Watch, we're already seeing terror promotion and the glorification of terror in recent months. We're seeing the percentages of violence dropping. And so once again, it's the power of social media for good and also for evil. We're coming up to the end of Sukkot, and I wanted to share this with you because the last and the great day is Friday of this amazing Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot. We're commanded to have joy. There's an article in a Jewish site that says this is the greatest celebration in Jewish history. Every day, and this is during the time of Jesus, every day during Sukkot, the people would go down to the Pool of Siloam, by the way, still accessible today, and they would draw some water that would be poured onto the altar. The water was then brought to the temple amidst tremendous celebration and fanfare. When the delegation of water drawers finally reached the temple, the water was given to the high priest, the Kohanim, and at that moment, massive celebrations erupted in which the entire population participated. There was singing and dancing and food. The celebration lasted all night long. Imagine every day this took place for 8 days. And the Talmud actually says there's no greater celebration ever than the celebration of the water libations, I should say, that took place during Sukkot. You need to know that it was at this moment that there was a voice that John, the gospel writer, says, screamed out, "Is there anyone thirsty?" Jesus was at this feast. And Jesus said, "Is there anybody thirsty? If they come to me," all these images that you see, I'm the source, I'm the living water. And if you drink from me, you'll never thirst again. And then for those of you that have been with us to Israel, and we're up on the Golan Heights, we talk about the Yom Kippur War, the Valley of Tears. We've been blessed to have Avador Kahalani meet with our groups before, a true hero of the Yom Kippur War. And there is a 10-part series that's coming out starting October 19th, $1 million per episode that's going to start being shown in Israel. I hope that we can access it at some point in time. But for all of you that have been with us, I thought I would shoot this your way and take a look at it and see if you can find it on Netflix or whatever. But I think it's going to be an amazing presentation of the miracles of the wars of Israel. So that's it for this week. We'll be back next week. And with that, shalom.